Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So we are going to discuss question 8 from our Topical 5, and this question is focusing on our subtopic 5.3, which is Trigonometric Identities. So please do remember we have 3 different identities that we need to know how to use and to remember. Okay, so the first step that we need to use is read the questions carefully. We need to find the angles that satisfy the equation for x from 0 to 360 degrees. Do take note, we have the equal sign there, and the first step that we can use is we need to change this equation into a simpler form. So how do we do that? We need to use the definition for cotangent. So we have two definitions for cotangent of x. The first one is 1 over tangent of x, and the second one is cot x is actually equals to cos x over sin x. So what do we do now? Which one should we choose? Do take note, we have negative 2 cos x on our right hand side. So we are not going to choose the first one, we'll choose the second one because this one consists of cos x as well. So what we will do here is let's just change that into cos x over sin x, and everything must be equal to negative 2 cos x. So what do we do now? Please remember there are no cancellation for trigonometric function. No cancellation. Tiada penghapusan. Tak boleh cancel-cancel. Sebab bila kita cancel, jawapan kita akan hilang. So what do we do? Let's just multiply sin x on our right hand side. So that gives us cos x is equal to negative 2 cos x sin x. Okay, that seems doesn't help at all, but at least we don't have any fractions. So now since we cannot cancel, so cannot divide everything by cos x, what do? Let's just group everything on our left hand side. So that gives me cos x plus 2 cos x sin x, and it is equal to 0. So now what do I have here? Please take note, we have cos x and then plus 2 cos x sin x. Let's just factorize whatever we have that's the same for those two terms. So I'll have cos x outside, and then whatever left inside is 1 plus 2 sin x, and everything must be equal to 0. So now let's remember, we have learned this before. When we have two different factors equal to 0, we can take either cos x is equal to 0, or we will have 1 plus 2 sin x is equal to 0. So we can immediately solve cos x is equal to 0. For the other side, we just need to make sin x as our subject. So this will give me sin x is actually negative 1 over 2. Okay, so let's be careful here. Let's answer this one by one. So for the first part, cos x is equal to 0. For this one, we just need to use the graph. So how do we draw the graph of cos x? Before we draw the graph, let's check the limit. So we have the limit given in the question is x must be greater than or equal to 0 degree and less than or equal to 360 degrees. So we just need to draw one full cycle for cos x. So let's just draw our axis here. Okay, that is my cos x axis, and then my x axis will be here. So graph for cos x will start at the maximum value, and then it will go down and go up again, and the end is 360 degrees, and the middle is 180 degrees, 270 degrees, this one will be 90 degrees and 0 degrees. So when our x is 0 degree, cos x will take the value 1, and when x is 180 degrees, cos x will be negative 1. So which one are we going to take? We have cos x must be equal to 0. So we have two places, which is x must be 90 and x must be 270 degrees. So let's just write up our solution there. So for the first part, x is equal to 90 degrees and 270 70 degrees. Now, let's stop there for the first part. Let's refer back to our second part. Okay, now what we have here is, let me just separate these two workings. Okay, now what I have here is sine x is equal to negative 1 over 2. Our limit will stay the same, so it's okay if you don't want to rewrite the limit because our limit is still the same. And then for this part, we cannot use graph because we have sine x is equal to negative 1 over 2. So this one we need to find our reference angle. So for reference angle, which is alpha, we will get using the formula alpha is equal to arcsine of absolute value of negative 1 over 2. You can also change that into decimals. And the calculator will tell us alpha is actually 30 degrees. And again, as previously, we know sine x must give a negative value. That means that our angle alpha will stay in which quadrant? So since we know add sugar to coffee, hence we know sine that gives a negative value will be in the third and the fourth quadrant. Okay, quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So now we just need to just label our alpha here. Alpha is 30 degrees. Here is also alpha equals to 30 degrees. Next, we just need to list all our possible angle. So list x and we will get x is actually equals to, the first angle will be 180 degrees plus 30 degrees. And the next one will be 360 degrees minus 30 degrees. Okay, and that gives us x is actually 210 degrees as well as 330 degrees. Is that all? Yes, but do take note because we have two different parts of solution. You need to write up our final solution. Okay, so our final solution will be written like this. Okay, just combine everything and we'll arrange everything in ascending order. So x will take the values 90 degrees, 210 degrees, 270 degrees as well as 330 degrees.